This video is really to try to explain what is going wrong in the financing of innovation in the US. And I use for that the case of the company I created because it's very symptomatic. It's really a very good example of what's going wrong in the financing of innovation in the US. And it's very important because it's threatening the future of the society and it needs to be fixed. Let's talk about 6 points of advice to real entrepreneurs on what they should do in order to avoid trouble when they build their company in order to make sure that they avoid some of the issues that we faced ourselves. And I think this is pretty coming very straight from somebody who has experienced them. The first thing is, when you do line up your financing, you should do it the right way. Today, everybody at 25 wants to build a startup. I think it's a bit early personally, because you need to be able to do more or less everything in a company if you want to be very successful. So it's better to have a few experiences before. That's my opinion. And when you do that, you also establish credibility. When you establish credibility, you have a network of people who believe in you. And the best financing is obviously yours if you have money, your family. Yeah, after that, your friends. After that, the people who know you. After that, your clients, your business model, because through the business model, you can effectively engineer the financing to be there. That's what we did at Trading Screen. We are very smart because we were asking people to prepay. And so because of that, we were financed by our clients really very early. And you should take the financial money only at the extreme end when you have no other opportunity, because all the people I mentioned before, and you should add before the financial people, you should add the family offices, because the family offices honestly are more genuine and less risky than the private equity and the venture capitalist. You should really take all the money you can from the first counterparts or the first investors, because they are better investors. They will support you, they will give you ideas. If it's a client, the client will feel part of the model. He will give you good advice, he will give you information. This is our experience. So you should really try to line up your financing and put the financial investors only at the extreme end when you have no other way to raise money that way. We never needed financial money. The banks were our clients, that's why they invested. We have never needed financial money. It was just to replace the banks. So I think that's the first rule of thumb. The second one is you should avoid what the big mistake I made, which is to believe an investment banker. You should do your due diligence yourself. Don't look at what the venture capital firm or the private equity firm is giving you. Look at where they had issues. Call the people they had issue with and interview them. Don't call their success, because their success usually was bought out and they have potentially, they will ask you to call the CEO, but they have placed the CEO. So obviously the CEO is going to say good things. Go to the dirt. Go to where they have failed and analyze why they failed and why there was an issue. And do it yourself. Don't use a proxy. It's a very, very important rule. Third one is, don't do a financial closing without having secured the board totally. You should be, and it's complicated. For instance, my board members supported me for 5 years before betraying me. I wanted to change them because I realized that they were in financial danger and they were easy to take and to be corrupted. But the most expensive lawyer in the US, corporate lawyer in the US, who charged me for that $1,500 an hour, told me that I was seeing problems where there was no issues and all that. I would have done that, TCV would have never been able to take my company away. I listened to a proxy. Never, ever listen to a lawyer. Never, ever listen to an investment banker. Do the decision, calculate the decision, do it on your own with your best friends, the people who want you to succeed. Don't do it with people who get business from other people. Fourth point, which is very, very important, put the controlling stake and the controlling structure of your organization in an environment that cannot be corrupted, which eliminates immediately Delaware. Never have your head company in Delaware. Do it in Luxembourg, do it in Ireland, do it wherever, but never do it in an environment prone to corruption like Delaware. The lawyers are corrupt, the judges are corrupt, everything is corrupt in Delaware. You don't want to have a structure. I did it because I stupidly listened to lawyers who told me that if we wanted to do an IPO on NASDAQ, it will be a requirement to have the company incorporated in Delaware. They were telling me that because they were making money by having their office in Delaware treating the file. That's it. It was not for any other reason. You have multiple very good foreign companies who are on NASDAQ. They lied to me. So put your controlling structure in an environment that cannot be bought. Very important. The fifth point is don't accept a redemption clause. It's relatively common in the US. In Europe, there is none. So if you have a structure in Luxembourg, nobody will ask you for a redemption clause. Why not take a redemption clause? First, it's unfair to the entrepreneur because the guy can decide suddenly to get out. Well, you need certainty in your capital. Why would you give that only to the financial guys? So you should refuse it. In the US, if you are in the US, you should refuse it, but it's usually not requested if you are in Europe. So you should not have a redemption clause because the redemption clause is used as a fundamental blackmail by the VC and the PE firm. So you should really not have this clause. It's very key. And six, be careful with your employees. Don't be too generous. You make all the sacrifices as the entrepreneur. You will be the one not paying if there is not enough cash in the bank. You will pay your employee first. If you are as stupid as I am, I was allowing my guys coming from Asia to fly business class and I was still flying coach. I know I'm a complete idiot, but don't be nice. Treat everybody the same, including yourself. If people get paid, you should get paid. But if you are an entrepreneur and you really want your company to develop, you have a tendency to sacrifice yourself for the other ones. Don't do that. It's stupid. It's stupid. You never get a payback for that. Nobody even esteems. They take you for a weak guy. So strangely enough, it goes against you. So don't do it. Just treat everybody, all your employees and yourself the same way. As a conclusion, I think our case at Trading Screen with TCV is a benchmark case. We were the best company in fintech. We are growing faster than anybody. We are making more money than anybody. We had more cash than anybody. We got so many awards for product creation that we had more awards than all our competitors combined. And in so many areas, it was unbelievable. In multiple areas, very, very far from each other. So we were extremely successful. And because of my mistakes, the company has been killed. I've lost my shares. I made a few stupid decisions. I followed the advice of the wrong lawyers, the wrong investment bankers. It was stupid. So I'm paying every day in my mind that, and that's very sad. So you don't want the same thing to happen to you. What you want is a company that grows, and at the time where it becomes something that should do something else, go with another company or whatever, you want the deal to go through. It's just the way it is. So don't make the same mistakes. Try to control the show better than we did. And you will find 10% of your employees who are really dedicated and will always be with you. but know right away that as an entrepreneur, you will always be alone because you have to take all the risk and the return is not always there, even if you take all the risk, because you have a lot of thieves out there. And TCV, which means, once again, totally corrupt vultures, they should go to jail. They are fundamentally racketeering criminals. And if there was any type of justice, it's so easy to prove they've committed wire fraud, they committed mail fraud, they committed any type of fraud. They committed Sarbanes-Oxley fraud, they committed ERISA fraud, they committed so many. But leveraging their relationship where they got drunk in college, leveraging their money, which is not their money, by the way, they have none, their investors' money, they bought the proxies which are protecting them. And they are allowing them to avoid being judged like anybody else would. And that's not functional. This has to change. And the best way to change it is to have the large institutional investors start to do a real serious due diligence on the investment practices of these people. If people could read just the papers on the trading screen lawsuit, nobody would put a penny in TCV, given what they've done. Buying, corrupting employees, corrupting board members, it's insane. And on top of that, they are completely disastrous in managing businesses. So why would you invest in a company who has no skills except manipulation and deception, especially for a conservative, good, well-intentioned investor? But they still do. So this series of little segments is about that. People have to realize who they are working with. And I'm not saying all private equities are bad, and I'm not saying all venture capitalists are bad, but you have quite a serious proportion of them who are employing methods from another age, and just because they speak English and don't have an Italian accent, and do most of the dirty stuff through proxies, they are still criminals, and they should go to jail.